Those Indiana Pacers.
Those Indiana Pacers.
You know, after game 2, I was like, yeah, I mean, OKC's just that good. They might start running away from it. I think a lot of people did. It was like, hey, OKC in 5. But I do feel like some of the Pacers conversation before the series and even during this series has been slightly disrespectful. And what you saw tonight was the Pacers at their best and OKC maybe, I'm not going to say at their worst, but not a sharp night at all. And the Pacers take a 2-1 lead in the NBA Finals with a 116-107 victory over OKC.
What was it you asked me right before we met up? You said something about the Pacers. And what was it?
My question is, can the Pacers play better than they played tonight?
Yes.
Because I know OKC could play better.
And I said, probably not, but they wouldn't need to. And not to say that OKC couldn't play better. Absolutely, they could play better. And we'll talk all about that. But it's more so the Pacers took OKC out of this game. It wasn't just like, oh man, it was just one of those games. SGA couldn't get something going. Oh, no. The Pacers threw how many different guys? How many different looks at that man? Tiring him the hell out? Using their same game plan that they kind of had on Tyrese Haliburton that we've seen before, right? And on so many other teams in this league where you just tire out their best player or the player with the ball in their hands or the floor manager, the one that gets things done on the court. The Pacers were doing that to SGA in so many different ways tonight. And also doing it to other people too. Jalen Williams, they're making him screw up a lot. I thought Chet was doing a good job of staying aggressive, but you just saw that like Miles Turner at the end of the game is blocking his shot from 3 and then getting it from underneath. Like they didn't stop all game long.
Yeah, I felt like the Pacers dictated this game tonight.
Yes.
And, you know, going into the series, something that we had talked about was the fact that the narrative being built was you have one of the best defenses in the league in OKC taking on one of the best offenses in the league. And I'm like, yeah, but Indiana's defense is good. And they've been good.
Yep.
And now they're showing it. And tonight, that was like A+ effort out there. I thought they were the team that was physical. And what a difference it makes when they rebound well and they get stops. They can get out and go. I thought the stat that to me told a lot of the story of this game. Well, a couple, but one, fast break points. First 2 games combined for Indiana in this series, they had 19 fast break points. Tonight, 17. It was getting stops. It was rebounding. It was the steals, the defense. It was fantastic. They forced 19 Oklahoma City turnovers tonight that turned into 21 points. But when Indiana can get out and go, and they feed off that crowd in Indiana. It was spectacular. The atmosphere, what a joy.
What's the other number? Because it might be the same number that stood out to you that really was the identity of this game. I have mine.
The bench points?
Yes. The bench points, because you just mentioned it with TJ McConnell being part of what was happening in the fast break, right? I mean, how many stops did he have in the backcourt in the first half? And then he continued to steal the ball throughout the game. That goes for so many other guys.
Morgan, TJ McConnell had 3 steals on inbound passes tonight.
That's what it was.
2 in the first half and 1 in the fourth quarter.
Okay. Yeah.
When it happens once, you're like, okay, we can't dick around with that. Happened 3 times today. TJ McConnell's, it's hilarious thinking about him, right? Because so many people go, oh, yeah, it's TJ, you know, he's a scrappy little dude. No, you know what? He's a good player. And it's the hustle, but his ability to break down his man, get into the paint, everything he does,
everything
is fast. It's physical. You notice him out there. He plays, like we say, what the Pacers love to play, with a relentlessness about them.
Yeah, but I also think too, like how many times we've talked about Alex Caruso and OKC and what he can contribute, right? Especially off the bench. TJ McConnell, it's usually a hit or miss if he's going to contribute and be a force on the offensive end. Everyone knows he can play like this, but I feel like Rick Carlisle also went with that second unit more, giving them I guess a different opportunity, going with Mathurin, going with McConnell, but they were showing up. They were showing up in the minutes that they were getting. They were being so efficient with every single second that they were out there.
Well, it's no mistake that the 2 quarters
that
they play substantial minutes in, the second and fourth quarters, were the huge quarters for Indiana tonight. Yeah. They outscored Oklahoma City in the second and the fourth quarters 72-46. 72-46. Jesus. And it's TJ McConnell. You mentioned Mathurin, and this is someone who wasn't available to the Pacers last year in the playoffs. And I remember watching him before the draft because the Kings had a high draft pick that year. They ended up drafting Keegan Murray. And one thing that always struck me about him was just like, oh, he's got like a confidence about him.
Yes.
He's got a little dog in him. He chirps. And in the NBA, you see him, you're like, that's a little chaotic at times. This guy was in complete control tonight. And it wasn't chaotic. It was forceful. But some of the finishes he had, some of the shot creation
early on. I mean,
what a game changer it was. The guy has 27 points on 9 of 12 shooting. He had 10 points in the fourth quarter.
10 points in the fourth quarter, 7 points in the first 3 minutes that he was playing, right? and then I look and I see 7 minutes. I was like, wait, he's only played 7 minutes, and then he had 14 points.
Yeah.
Like he was just so effective on that end, and you're so right. Once he sees the ball go in, or once he makes one good move and it's under control and things are good, his confidence is at a whole nother level. And you saw that with him. I mean, there was even times when Tyrese was off the floor and I was like, okay, the movement's a little weird, but then I still felt like he would get something to go or make the right pass to Pascal Siakam or whoever else was in the corner. So yeah, Bennedict Mathurin was just fantastic in his 22 minutes off the bench, 27 of the 49 bench points for the Indiana Pacers. And you're not going to get that every game. And I know so many people are going to be like, oh, you're not going to get that every game and have it like that. No. I'm just saying it from the standpoint, like, it's amazing what he can contribute. Now, if you're not going to always get that from that one person off the bench, how can you still continue the same style of play with everyone out there? And I think you really can. It's hard to do through 4 quarters, but you saw this Pacers team. It was like everyone had each other's back. Everyone understood the assignment, and they were not going to stop until that final horn went off.
And that's kind of been who they are, right?
Absolutely.
They don't give up.
Even when they're down.
Well, and there were some danger times in this game, right? Late first half, you see a stretch where Nembhard's got 3 fouls, Siakam with his 3rd, and Nesmith with 3. And like, oh, shit, this could be challenging. But even I thought Shepherd came in and gave him some solid minutes. Like, yeah, SGA beat him a couple times, sure, but he was making life a little more challenging at times, which I appreciated. But yeah, I thought they handled adversity well. Even when OKC coming out of the second half, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? They just made a look. They just punched back.
Yeah.
They found a way to deliver every single time with a big stop, a big shot, a push in transition. It was a really impressive game 3 for Indiana.
Also, it was a really impressive game because you look at what Rick Carlisle did differently as well. And I said this to you too. I was like, this is like chess. You're just seeing the in-game adjustments from coaches, from players, game by game. You saw Bryant off the bench, only 3 minutes in this one, where you saw in that game 2 against OKC that when they were going with Bryant and Obi Toppin, OKC was just going with their 2 big lineup with Chet and Hartenstein. And so it was just one of those situations where it's like, okay, they're always dominating no matter what unit is out there. And I felt like with the Pacers tonight, they just did a much better job of throwing different pieces at him. And even Obi Toppin, like at the end, all the little things that he had, it was an offensive rebound. He flew up in the sky, threw it back down, and then did something on the other end. It was just like the activity from these guys was so fun to watch. I don't know how you find that energy again, especially since you know OKC is going to make their adjustments and you know that they're one of the best defenses in this league, but it was fun to watch tonight.
Yeah, and I think Indiana is just one of the best conditioned teams out there. I mean, I'm watching Indiana. They didn't look tired to me out there.
No.
I thought OKC looked tired tonight. And this was after a few days off.
That's true.
And that's something to look at because
Chet didn't, though.
OKC obviously is, they're going to make you work too, right? I'm not acting like they're not conditioned, but Indiana just plays at one speed. They play fast all the time. They're fast and physical, and I thought that stood out in a big way in this game tonight. One thing, by the way, on TJ McConnell,
Yeah.
10 points, 5 assists, 5 steals in this game.
I mean,
Miles Turner had 5 blocks in this game.
Jesus.
Kind of crazy seeing some of those numbers.
Yeah, it was relentless. It was all the time. It literally didn't stop.
But that's, to me, the key tonight. Everything about tonight is something we talked about before the series. If Indiana's going to have a chance in this series, it's going to be because their defense is able to get stops and force OKC into mistakes. And we saw this tonight.
They forced them into mistakes. And you said it. You said OKC almost looked tired at times. And it's because Indiana was tiring them out. We both, when we saw Chet in the beginning of this game, he looked like the days off really helped him in his body. I mean, he was taking the ball from rim to rim right away, being super aggressive, didn't care who was in his way. He was throwing it down. I loved it. 0.5. Like, he was taking it all the way to the rack. But you saw Indiana go, okay, no, we're going to stop that. And okay, let's say the ball is going to Jalen Williams. I felt like Williams at times was just a little chaotic with the ball. I mean, he still finished with 26 points, still had a decent game.
Well, he and SGA combined for 10 of the 19 turnovers.
Well, and that was it. I just thought like his chaotic nature at times, and it wasn't because he wasn't focused. It was because OKC was giving him a hard time anywhere he was on the floor. It didn't matter if it was up by the half court line. It didn't matter if it was at the high post. Someone was meeting him at the rim. Someone was there.
Someone we haven't talked about yet, and this is like classic us. We always focus on like, can you believe this role guy or this bench player? Tyrese Haliburton.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tyrese Haliburton tonight, 22 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. He had a couple of steals, 9 of 17 shooting, 4 of 8 from downtown. And there's obviously been so much talk about him after game 2. He got it going late. And I thought it was probably a little too much on him. You know, he can be better, but Siakam needed to be better.
Sure.
You talk about aggressiveness tonight. And it started with what he did defensively.
Mm-hmm.
He gets targeted a lot.
He does.
But the thing about Tyrese that I think people sleep on is he's got good size and he's got length and he's got good instincts.
High
he's
IQ.
good at getting steals, playing the passing lanes. And I think in this series, he has shown many times as a help defender coming in there and getting a block. I thought that was really impressive from him in this game.
The way that he was fighting through screens, I noticed his navigation through screens and really just like getting his body to the right place or recovering with a behind block, like wherever he had to be, he was going to recover. He was going to put in that extra effort. And so, yeah, I thought his defense tonight was huge. It totally looked different. But for him to still be able to score at times on OKC's defense when they're throwing some different bodies, some long arms, help, all these different things at him, it's incredible. It was like, there was a few times I was like, oh, he could have taken that floater instead of passing it back out. But that's what Chet does. He disrupts, he alters your thinking and what you are actually going to do in the key. But I still felt like Tyrese just had these huge moments once again, whether it was a step back 3, they weren't respecting it enough or just being glued to him, and he was feeling good.
I think the other thing they did a good job on is picking on Oklahoma City bigs in the 2-man action. And that leads to Tyrese getting some good looks from 3. He knocked down 4 threes in this game. And I think anytime you see a situation where like Hardenstein's got to come up on Tyrese is taking that shot and he's going to love taking that shot.
Exactly how much space he needs.
And Chet, for as mobile as he is, he gets caught in a lot of like, oh, wait, I need to protect the rim. But, Tyrese kind of stuck in between. And so you give Tyrese that space, he's going to launch it. And I thought they did a good job with that. And, honestly, I think Indiana's 2-man game is tough to deal with, whether it's Haliburton, Siakam, right? Or Turner, who is really challenging. With Turner, his size, he can get rolling hard to the basket. He can finish at the rim. He could stop on a dime. And hit a mid-range shot. Hell, he could pick and pop. It's just a lot going on with Indiana's offense. And then, oh, by the way, well, those two things are happening. You got guys cutting all over the place. It's a tough team to defend.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, obviously we've seen OKC do a great job, but you also see this Pacers team, whether it's they're listening to their coaches, they just understand the game really well. Like every single tweak that they make, they've benefited from. They really have. Whether they're starting Pascal Siakam at the high post, whether they're having Miles Turner pop out more or less, like, or slipping more, rolling more, whatever it is, like each thing that they change has been so effective. And going back to just Tyrese Haliburton, really looking at his stat line right now, just 1 rebound shy of a triple double in a finals game.
He's been great, dude.
And so efficient, 9 of 17 from the field. It's pretty incredible to watch, and the way that he carries himself out there on the floor at all times when all this chaos and Lou Dort and Wallace and all these other people are being thrown at you, and you're still just staying composed and you're this young.
Something we had talked about after game 2 with him is like, I think with everything Oklahoma City throws at you, it's challenging. It takes a second, to compute. And, Tyrese was talking to Malika Andrews in an interview that aired before the game, and he said that this is the best defense he's ever seen in his career.
Yeah.
And so, I think the first couple of games might be a feeling out thing. And Tyrese is naturally going to try to make the right play. He wants to get in the paint, kick out. He's really looking to set guys up, get out and transition. Sure. But if those opportunities aren't there, he's not necessarily going to force the issue. He wants to make the right play. And so I don't even necessarily think there was like a ton different. I don't think his aggressiveness was ratcheted up to another level. I think there are just better opportunities for him in this game where it's like, yeah,
he's processing.
We got stops defensively. Mm-hmm. I got out. We pushed the pace, got cross matches, got into favorable matchups, and I made the right play. And so I think so many times we look at these star players like Tyrese Haliburton, and you have to look at him and not expect 30 points a game.
I know. And
this is the type of game.
And this type of game is incredible still, like when you do look across the stat line. And I think that's most of, and I could be wrong, but I would say most NBA fans are always looking for that number when it comes to this guy gets paid this much. This guy is supposed to do this. This guy's supposed to do this. When you can be a complete basketball player, and by the way, Tyrese Haliburton is still someone that needs to get better on the defensive end. But guess what? I mean, that's what he's doing in the NBA finals. Like, he's doing it in front of everyone's faces, in front of all the haters' faces. And he's doing it at a younger age in this league. And so, yeah, I'm completely with you. I think we are also getting to this time in the NBA. It's being able to be it always has been, right? To be able to be a two-way guy, to be able to do it on both ends of the floor. But like when you have a star player that is capable of doing that, like you have the secret weapon, especially when you have the role players around him.
Yeah, 22, 11, and 9. Going to Siakam, he had 21 in this game, 8 of 14 shooting. He had the first 6 points of this game too. And one thing I like that they did tonight is they started giving him the ball at the free throw line to get that turnaround on the mismatch, where there was SGA on him, someone else. And in the first couple of games, they were trying to expose that mismatch. And they had some success where they get him on the left block and he'd go to work, right? The problem is Oklahoma City started bringing help. But if you put him at the free throw line and spacing, it's a lot harder to double. It's a lot harder to collapse because you're at the free throw line. You could see everything, as opposed to when you're kind of stuck in that block area. So I thought Siakam was able to kind of read the game well. He knew that help wasn't going to come, and he got comfortable early. And those are the tweaks we start talking about with Carlisle, right? It's the lineup tweaks. It's the adjustments. It's going after the two-man game a little bit, and then the Pacers just going out and executing at a really high level. So that was really impressive in this game. Man, Indiana up 2-1. And I don't know, many people thought that this would be the case, that they're up 2-1. Game 4 is in their house too. It's insane. We got more to talk about with this series. We should mention that tonight's podcast presented by our friends over at Sentivo Vineyards and Winery. Morgan.
Oh, yes. It's a family-owned winery, and it's the best winery. And you can go to sentivovineyards.com, get all of your wines there. I mean, that's what I've been drinking all summer long during all the NBA playoffs and finals and everything. It's so every single wine is absolutely fantastic. And it doesn't matter where you live because you can go online to sentivovineyards.com. Sentivo Vineyards is also proud partners of Sacramento Kings and Sac Republic FC.
Also presented by our friends over at Medic Ambulance.
Woo, woo, woo. We're thrilled to team up with Medic Ambulance, the trusted name in emergency medical services across Northern California. From life-saving responses to being the team behind the scenes at your favorite events, Medic is there to serve. Medic is the official emergency medical response partner of Sac Republic and Sac State Athletics. Learn more at medicambulance.net.
Oklahoma City definitely had an uncharacteristic game tonight. I think they could play a lot better. And I say that I don't want to take anything away from Indiana.
Yeah. Yes, because I think that's very important. I that's one of the first things that I said to start this podcast was like, well, sure, OKC didn't play their best, but at the same time, like Indiana altered the way that they were playing their game. And so I totally believe that OKC can play better basketball, can focus, take care of it better, make sure. Look, the refs were even calling fouls in the beginning of the game. And I say that because I feel like we've seen some very physical.
A lot of free throws tonight. We saw, 52 combined free throw attempts tonight?
So throughout the game. But truly, I thought they were setting the tone in the beginning of the game. You know, we saw a few raps here or there, and it was on both sides. And so I guess now for OKC, it's how you rip through the right way, you take the contact, and you just keep playing your same style. And I think their style tonight was just like they seemed like out of whack. OKC or Indiana was making
almost
them
as if they were surprised that Indiana was bringing that type of force. Like
yes,
going back to what we mentioned earlier with McConnell having 3 steals on inbound passes.
That can't happen. That one.
Maybe like this is the NBA Finals. You're supposed to be like you're the favorite here, whatever. But yeah, they had some turnovers tonight that were head scratching. You know, there was, and yes, there was definitely some of them that were Indiana induced. Indiana did a great job, but there are some perplexing decisions. And I even thought in that fourth quarter, what a response! Indiana outscores them 32-18 in the quarter. I did not love SGA's shot selection. I thought Indiana definitely sped him up and made things more challenging, but there were just plays even late. I'm like, why is that the shot? Dribble. It's like 90 seconds to go. It's like, let's play some basketball here. You're going ISO mode for a long contested 2.
Yeah, they went away from moving without the basketball. I mean, think about how many times that we've seen Alex Caruso throughout this entire season have that nice little backdoor cut on the baseline. And it's like he had that tonight, but then you would see Pascal Siakam recover nicely and be able to block it, contest it, whatever he needed to do. It's like their timing was just a step off with everything that they were doing. And someone wasn't cutting when someone was driving. It wasn't all seamless. Like they were, remember what Ant said? They're like puppets all moving on the same string or whatever. They weren't doing that tonight. And
Indiana was.
And Indiana was while taking them out of it. But I think they will obviously be able to make that adjustment, but they need it from everyone because you do go into their bench and you look at the production, 18 points, sure. But I also just didn't feel like I felt like there was a drop off when that second unit was going in. And I usually don't feel that with OKC. I really feel strong about anyone that they end up playing.
Are you feeling differently about this series now with Indiana up 2-1? Do you think they have a shot here to win this series?
I think they have a shot.
Yeah.
Where even going into this series, I definitely thought that they still had a shot. Like I thought they had a shot. I know there's so many haters out there that are just like, oh, it's OKC in 6, like right away. And it still absolutely still can be. Yes. But I think the way that you've seen Indiana get better and learn something new from each and every single game. Like usually you say that like, oh, it's a good experience that they can take into next year. It's like they're using their experience for the next game, each and every. And I'm so amazed by it. And not to say OKC doesn't, but OKC has played such great basketball all year long. So I think sometimes when adversity does get thrown at them, different type of adversity, they have a harder time adjusting on the fly, where I think they'll be fantastic in the next game.
I think Indiana, if they're going to win the series, they got to do it in 6. And I just cannot see them going on the road, Game 7 in Oklahoma City and winning this series.
That would be really
But
hard.
you know what I love?
What?
I love that this is going longer.
Yeah.
I need more of this basketball. Tonight was a fun game.
Yep.
And there have been great moments in this series. It's two teams that get after it. They play hard, and you just never know who's going to be the hero. Last game, we saw incredible performances off the bench from Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso. Tonight, it was Bennedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, and TJ McConnell playing like absolute dogs. Sprinkle in Haliburton, bounce back, Siakam. Just amazing.
And
amazing.
By the way, this was a 2-possession game with 30 seconds left or whatever it was. And even in that time, I was like, oh,
so
shit.
And I guess that goes to my other point.
Yeah.
My original point is Oklahoma City's going, we had 19 turnovers, didn't play our A game. Look at us allowing 72 points in quarters 2 and 4 combined. In fact, in those quarters, Indiana shot 61%. They were 27 of 44 shooting. We allowed that from our mistakes, and we were in this game at the end. I think that's probably the takeaway I'm walking. It's no disrespect. I just think that highly of Oklahoma City that I go, you know what? You don't want to lose a game in the finals, but you played like dog shit.
Yep.
And it's almost like the reverse. Like game 1, Indiana didn't play their A game. They had 25 turnovers. The difference was Tyrese hit a game winner.
Yeah.
And they stole game 1, right? Oklahoma City could not steal this game tonight. And that's obviously a credit to Indiana. But if you're Dagnall, you're like, guys, we are so much fucking better than the second, fourth quarter.
Is that what he's saying in the locker room?
No, he's probably so much more calm.
I
Well,
know.
that whole team, they're all robots.
He's squinting and just going, guys.
It's a tight turnaround, though. It's
Friday.
They play Friday. There's no 3 days off anymore or whatever. It's like we're playing basketball.
Some people thrive off that, though. You know, like they get to redeem themselves quicker. They don't have to dwell on it. You just get to get up and go.
Let us know your thoughts on what went down in Game 3. I'm sure there's stuff we missed.
You always say that.
I know, because I go back and watch the game like we always do because we're sickos, and I go, oh man, I wish I would have mentioned that, or how did I mess this up? Oh my God, I missed this point. Whatever. Instant reaction after the game. That's just my insecurities coming out. Do you give the Pacers a shot in this series? Where are you at with Oklahoma City? Let us know all your comments about game number 3 of the NBA Finals. And please hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast